Hello. So my game, it's called Wilhelm's Problem, and it's a risk style game to help students understand the network of alliances and the decisions that were made at the start of World War One. So it's for any time you're covering World War One, really grades. You could do it ninth grade, but it's more 10 to 12. You're going to start off with a kind of big paper map of World War One. I printed out this. This is just kind of small, but it would be a map like that that would kind of stretch out across multiple tables so students could have a big playing area. You'd have each different country that was a major part of World War One: Great Britain, France, Russia, Germany, the Ottoman Empire, etc. Each governed by a group of 3 to 5 students. They would all get together and make the decisions for their country and what they were going to do with their troops. You'd have kind of risk style game pieces like this. These would be your armies. Each country is going to start with a set amount of armies in certain places that's going to correspond to the strength of the armies in 1914. So Germany and France are going to be the strongest. Russia is going to be have a lot of troops, but they're going to be spread out across the entire length of Russia, where France's is going to be really concentrated on the French border to try to uh, mimic a lot of the things that were happening in 1914 that caused the decisions to be made, like Germany invading Belgium because they had to defeat France quickly before Russia got into the war, and not being able to go through France because that's where France had all of their soldiers. So I try to draw it on here. Um, if you can see on France, it's all kind of split up into different segments. Each one of those are basically territories inside each country. Each troop can only move, or each army can only move 2 of those segments each turn. And you'll try to move across the territory. That'll help to mimic the normal delays that go into military strategy. And that'll be a big part in Russia because that was a big problem with Russia, was getting all of their troops over into the war quick enough. Uh, Battles will be determined by rolling dice. They Each army you have in a battle is going to account for 1 die up to 8. If you have more than that, you still only get 8 dice to roll. Whoever has the highest total of in those rolls is going to win. The other army will be defeated, and the game will continue until one of the alliances conquers all of the other capitals, or every army in one of the alliances is below a third of its strength. The goal for this is to help students understand why things happened at the start of World War One, because that's a really big part of teaching World War One, is discussing the alliances, why this kind of early things happened, why was Britain brought into the war because of Belgium, because of Germany invading it to deal with Russia and all that kind of stuff. And it can get very, very messy and complicated if you're not able to actually see it happen. And so, hopefully, with the students actually making some of these decisions and being faced with some of the problems, they'll be able to understand why things actually happened the way they did in the real world. Uh, the students can't turn on their allies because we want to make this as close to historically accurate as possible. But they don't have to completely listen to their allies. They don't have to work together. But it is strongly encouraged that they work together with the other countries that are allied with: Germany, Austria, Hungary, Ottoman Empire, so on. And this is something that you can even go back to when you're teaching about what actually happened and reference the decisions the students made in the game and discuss why the real world played out differently or why things happened the same way.